Foxborough today. I'm sorry, Baker. I'm sorry, OBJ. I'm sorry, Jarvis Landry. But I'm going to rain on your parade and say this is Patriots Day. The good news here is that there's still 14 other games, and we're going to tell you who to start, who to sit, who to flex. Hytham, start the show.
Big welcome to NFL Fantasy League One, presented by GEICO. This is Graham Barfield. That is Marcus Grant. And of course, you just met Taylor Brashadi. And I, of course, am your host and Commissioner Adam Rank, the only person qualified to lead this rogues gallery of fantasy superstars. And we start off week 8 with the return. You guys can sit there and make your faces. Drew Brees returning today. How are we feeling about that?
I think, with the matchup against the Cardinals, you can kind of easily slot him back into your lineups this week. I know, most people were, playing backup plans to Brees, but getting him back in the lineup here this week, good matchup against the Cardinals. I think we can kind of expect lower end QB1 numbers from him.
Is he that threatened by Teddy Bridgewater? He couldn't take an extra week off?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Oh, I got to be back. Like, you have a bye week. Why would you rush back? Other big news out of this game, though. Alvin Kamara will miss today. Marcus, are we feeling comfortable starting Latavius Murray?
We absolutely are. I mean, we saw last week when he played well against the Chicago Bears. And look, the Cardinals are not as formidable up front as the Bears defense is. Right. So I feel like with no Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray should get a pretty heavy workload. I think you feel good about starting.
There are only maybe 6 or 7 running backs that are better plays this week than Murray, I think. He just has such a huge ceiling in this game. I mean, the Saints are just double-digit favorites at home here. They should absolutely eat.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I worry, for all the people out there who benched Latavius Murray last week, they're going to feel like it's chasing the points to put him back into the lineup. But absolutely make sure you get him into your lineup. One player you need to have out of your lineup, however, though, is Patrick Mahomes, who will not play this week. So, Taylor, let me ask you. Obviously, Matt Moore as the quarterback, nobody's playing him. But what about Tyreek Hill?
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm not uncomfortable with it. I think that they made the right decision by having Patrick Mahomes sit out. The fact that that was even a question was absolutely crazy to me. I can't believe that you would even put your franchise quarterback in that position to have him rush back when I think he dislocated his knee 8 days earlier. So I'm really not uncomfortable with it. I think that it's still going to be a great matchup with those two. I think that Matt Moore is just going to kind of do a lot of screen plays and a lot of easy pass-offs to him. So I do think that his ceiling is still very, very high. And they are going up against a tough defense, so I think they're going to have to get a little bit kind of creative with their play calling.
Yeah, I mean, look, Matt Moore he's the backup, but he's not new to playing in the NFL. He's smart enough to know where his bread is buttered. That means throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I think both those guys should see plenty.
And we saw what he did when he stepped into the game when Patrick Mahomes went out, and he was still able to carry that Chiefs offense, and they scored, I think, that next drive.
Right, and just think, too, Andy Reid's had nearly 10 days to prepare for this game, so, he's going to scheme up some plays for his guys with Kelce and Hill for sure.
Yeah, hopefully Kelce. We've been missing him a little bit this season, and one guy that we'll be missing this week is David Johnson. Now that means that Chase Edmonds is going to be starting. It's a tougher matchup against the Saints, so how comfortable? You talked about Latavius Murray in this matchup, but how comfortable are you with Chase Edmonds?
So the Cardinals today are only rolling with 2 running backs, Edmonds, and then Alfred Morris was made inactive this week. So they're going to be rolling with just Edmonds and Zach Zinner as their 2 running backs, and they just got Zach Zinner off the street. So I'm expecting Chase Edmonds to play basically every single snap in this game. And granted, look, the Saints' front 7 is significantly more talented than the Giants, but
he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Edmonds
he had 3 touchdowns last week.
Edmonds is going to get 25 touches again.
Yeah.
Probably not 3 touchdowns, though.
I don't think he's going to have 3 touchdowns this week, obviously. But he's still going to have a great game. We saw what he was capable of doing last week. And, of course, the Saints haven't allowed more than 300 yards a game. So it's going to be a lot tougher.
I mean,
I do think that
at least we know David Johnson's not playing. So, national fantasy writers from other large outlets don't sit around making, random videos just trolling the, Cardinals Twitter account this week.
Fair enough. And it's also important to note, too, that the Saints have not allowed a 100-yard rusher since 2017. Samaje Perine was the person who accomplished that.
What a name there.
Yeah, blast from the pass. So, still, again, the volume plays. By the way, if you're just joining the show, if you haven't seen this before, this is a league set up with 2 divisions. Experts, celebrities, we're battling each other. Let's take a look at our standings heading into Week 8. Actually, we're 1 game into Week 8. And look who's leading the Experts division. As you would expect.
I'm getting tired of seeing your name up there.
As you would expect, of course.
Yeah, the other option is the football.
Exactly, but I'd much rather have Adam than him.
Yeah,
Candace's mugshot's beautiful, so there you go.
Yes, that's very good. As a matter of fact, when you see those top two names up there, let's look at the League One matchups for the week. Oh, mano y mano, the two top seeds going at it back.
What about Sam Darnold?
How dare you? Would you stop? Hollywood Inc. is going up against the Melanites, and because Kansas State won yesterday, Ricky Hollywood's going to bench her quarterback. She didn't agree to that, but I thought that would be a nice suggestion. We saw some of the other matchups there, but of course the big one is, it's me against Candace. And you know what? I took to social media. I wasn't going to let this one go. I like to think of myself as an old school heel. Let's roll the video.
Candace Patton, star of stage and screen. Congratulations on being in first place in the celebrity division. But guess what? You have feasted on the understudies long enough. Rehearsal is over. It is showtime. And you are going to go one-on-one with the person who is considered the best fantasy football player on the planet. There is going to be no superhero to swoop in and save the day for you. Oh no, the good guy does not always win. And make no mistake, I am no good guy, but I am damn good at fantasy football. Action.
That was aggressive.
Oh, it's an aggressive time. It is week 8. I hope you're ready. I hope you're prepared. I gave you a little bit of a warning. I know it's easy to sit there on the set and you got to stand in. You got to stunt double, but you got to do this on your own, Candace. Are you ready?
Did Candace have something in response for you?
I don't think she did.
Oh.
I don't know if she said
really?
anything.
That doesn't seem like
she just
her
let
at all.
it go.
Maybe she's not intimidated.
Oh, there it is.
What does that even mean?
Means you are you're.
I don't know what that means.
You got a lot of wind in your jaw, basically.
Whoa! Well, that's accurate, but I don't know what that. I don't know. I felt that was an appropriate response.
I mean, essentially, she was saying, I just wanted to use it in terms that you'd be familiar with. Don't sing it, bring it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm ready to bring it this week. And as a matter of fact, since everybody here on the expert side is playing a celebrity, let's talk a little celebrity creeping. Kind of like I was on Twitter right there. But who are some of the players on the celebrity sides when you look at their team and you look at their team, you're like, gosh, I wish I had that player. And looking at Candace's roster, I see Chris Godwin there, and I'm like, oh, I really wish I had that player. I remember back in the draft, second round, I took Mike Evans and almost immediately regretted it. And I'm like, I know it would have been so hot takey to draft Chris Godwin, but when you look at the production this season, that's definitely somebody I wish I would have taken a chance on. Marcus, what about you? When you see the matchup opposite of you, who is the player that you're looking at?
This week, at least, it's Todd Gurley, and I know that he's been sort of up and down. He hasn't necessarily put up the big numbers that we're used to seeing, but man, this week going against the Bengals, I am worried that Todd Gurley is going to put up a healthy number against me. So I would prefer to have him on my side of the ledger this week.
Yeah.
All I can hope is that maybe things kind of get out of hand early, and then they go to like Darrell Henderson, and they kind of give Gurley the rest of the day off. Let him go see London. Let him go see the sights. Go see London.
Have a day of it. Go have a warm beer and do all that stuff.
Crazy things do happen in London. You just never know about those games.
What about you, Taylor? Who do you got?
FaZe Clan. I'm playing FaZe Clan today, and I am scared of Christian McCaffrey. I know that they are going up against the 49ers, which could bode well for me because that defense is very solid. They haven't allowed a rushing touchdown to a running back all season, except it is Christian McCaffrey. They haven't really gone up against a team like Christian McCaffrey. He's a receiver. He's a running back. He does it all. He leads the league in scrimmage touchdowns. He leads the league in yards per game. He's just a force to be reckoned with, so I'm scared to go up against him.
Plus, he's back near his old college stomping ground.
Yeah.
Playing there in Santa Clara. It's not far.
That's true.
It's a return
might get some good vibes from
there.
Don't wish that upon me. What is this?
Who are you creeping on?
McCaffrey doesn't need more good vibes, but I've been creeping on Phillip Lindsay. I'm playing Kane Brown this week, and he's in a bit of a tough spot. Does not have Patrick Mahomes, but Phillip Lindsay has been a great RB2 in PPR leagues this year, and I get it. He's been splitting time with Royce Freeman, but he's obviously just been so explosive since he's entered the league, and the Broncos have used him exclusively when they get in close. I know Royce Freeman scored a few weeks ago, but Lindsay's been the red zone back for this Broncos team, and he's been great for Kane so far. He's been a consistent force for him.
And Kane does have a pretty good team. He's just run into a little bit of bad luck, but We're pulling for you today, Graham. I guess we are. All right.
I think that's the first time you pulled for me all year.
It
Wow.
is. But guess what?
Adam's developing a soft side.
Time now for Fantasy Insurance presented by GEICO. And we'll be talking about our favorite starts of the week. And Taylor, get us kicked off. Who's your favorite start of the week?
Leonard Fournette. Yes, he has had an explosive last 2 games. I'm sorry, I almost stepped on that. He's had an explosive last 2 games, but he's going up against a Jets defense that is allowing the 4th most points to fantasy running backs this season. So I'm expecting him to have an explosive game. They've really struggled against running backs. So Leonard Fournette, who has finally gotten hot in the second half of the season, who we were kind of a little worried about him in the beginning, is going to go off.
Graham, who do you got?
Yeah, Tyler Lockett in this spot. I mean, it's just low-hanging fruit. Just because it's low-hanging fruit, though, does not mean it's wrong. I mean, the Falcons tonight or today are going to be without Desmond Trufant. Again, their top starting cornerback. And Lockett has just been such a consistent player for Russell Wilson in this offense. And again, this is just too good of a spot for him not to go off.
I agree. Marcus, who you got?
I hate saying this because this is good news for the fantasy footballers, but Darren Waller, who's just been lights out pretty much all season long going against that Texans defense. And really a lot of it is just the way this offense is designed. It really is designed to get him the football as often as possible. And maybe this is the hallmark of a John Gruden offense we need to pay attention to, because last year it was Jared Cook. This year it's Darren Waller. I know Tyrell Williams is expected back, but even still, this is an offense, a passing game that pretty much runs through the tight end.
And Graham, I hesitate to follow in your footsteps because it is low-hanging fruit, but I'm going to go with Russell Wilson as my play. And the only reason that I bring it up is because we did some Q&As earlier this morning, and way too many people were talking about Russell Wilson.
How?
I start?
Why?
I think a lot of people might be concerned that this will be such a blowout that Russell Wilson's not going to have the volume, similar to what happened to Kirk Cousins on Thursday night. But when you look at this matchup, there's just no hesitation for me to make sure you get Russell Wilson into your lineup. And that was Fantasy Insurance presented by GEICO. And now it's Sunday Fun Day, which means we're going to be talking about brunch and some of the best
Need a
starts.
mimosa now.
Yeah, well, somebody, our social
Somehow this guy-
social chair was supposed to bring it. We'll be talking about OBJ going up against the New England Patriots. All that, so much more. We'll see you in a minute. This is Fantasy League One presented by GEICO. And now, we happy chat.
You know what? We're going to go get some of those.
Let's go.
Time now for 15 minutes to kickoff, presented by GEICO. And here are Week 8 notable injuries. Drew Brees, of course, will be active today, as will Keenan Allen, although he could be limited. Some of the players who are out this week: Matt Ryan, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, and Patrick Mahomes. And that was 15 Minutes to Kickoff, presented by GEICO. All right, it is Sunday, fun day. Let's make it a party. Whoop, whoop. All right, that's a little bit too festive. Don't get us thrown out.
My bad.
Of the restaurant just yet. But you know what?
So front and center.
Odell Beckham Jr. Taylor talked about it in the cold open. Are we going to be toasting him today, or is he going to be toast?
He's going to be
I see
toast.
what you did there.
That was smart. That was actually a good one there, Adam.
Good. Actually. Graham, what do we think? Are we toasting? Is he toast?
I think he's going to be toast. It's going to be a really tough draw for him to beat Stephon Gilmore in coverage one-on-one this week. It's going to be a tough spot for him. Just think about it. All the Patriots have to do today is take away Odell Beckham and force Baker Mayfield to beat them with Jarvis Landry and Ricky Seals-Jones underneath these guys. And look, Mayfield struggled this year, but I have no confidence in him this week.
I think that what I couldn't agree more, Graham, what the Patriots do is they basically just take out your biggest weapon, and what they're going to do is completely block OBJ. Bill Belichick says it to him before every game. He said, you're not going to be getting a lot this week, so I don't think he's wrong.
Would you start D.D. Westbrook over him?
Ooh, that's thin. That would be pretty thin.
All right.
It's close, though.
All right, well, who's going to earn some extra pick? You ponder that one. Ty Johnson, Sony Michel, or that one guy. Hold on. I got Melvin Gordon, who's ordering extra pancakes today.
I'm going to give it to Sony Michel. I don't think he has the touchdown upside that he had last week, but you've heard Taylor mentioned it's going to be raining, it's going to be sloppy there in Foxborough. This is a game where I expect the Patriots will have some control. So especially in the second half, I just think you see a steady diet of Sony Michel. Kind of like all-you-can-eat pancakes. They just keep bringing them and bringing them.
And I got to eat them.
And if you got to eat them, and eventually the Browns are going to be like, hey, we've had enough, but they're just going to keep bringing pancakes until, you pay the check and leave.
Yeah, I think it would be really different if it wasn't going to be rainy like that. I think that Tom Brady would be slinging it down the field all day, but I think that because of that weather and those conditions, they're probably just going to be handing it off to
My
Michel
only concern for Michel today is they're going to get Rex Burkhead back, it sounds like, off the foot injury. And without Burkhead, it kind of skinnied up this running back usage tree. I think I would maybe play Ty Johnson over Michel now. I think that would swing it for me in PPR leagues.
Wait, what about standard leagues? Would you start Ty Johnson over
In
Michel?
standard leagues, I go Michel because of the touchdown upside.
All right, whatever. Kyler Murray, they won last week, but he wasn't huge fantasy-wise. Is he going to bounce back and have lineups buzzing?
Oh. I think he will, but I think a lot of it may come. What we saw early from the Cardinals this season was that the first half they seemed to struggle a little bit, and then the second half they turned it on. That might be the case today. I mean, we know how hard it is to go into the dome and play, how the fans just kind of get that place rocking a little bit. But I think Murray's going to get out of the pocket, make some plays, kind of spread the ball around. Having Christian Kirk back, I think, is going to be a big help for this offense. So I do think Kyler Murray will have a pretty nice day.
The Cardinals are a 4-wide receiver team, and they've basically just been trotting out some of these backup guys. Getting Christian Kirk back for them is huge.
And all these kind of guys, yeah.
The Dome, yeah. New Orleans, those games are bananas, too. By the way, you know what? I can take credit for introducing pickleback shots to New Orleans.
I don't believe that's true.
That is one of my claims to fame.
I don't think that's remotely true.
It's
hard time believing that.
I have a plaque out there that will show you this. Anyways, what about a tight end stream who deserves a toast, I should say? Cameron Brate or Jonnu Smith?
I'm Brate all day.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I might go Jonnu Smith here in this spot over Brate. It's tough, right? No Delaney Walker. The Bucs, though, have given up the second most yards per game to opposing tight ends. And, we've been streaming tight ends against the Cardinals all year, but the Bucs are kind of a similar type team that just cannot cover tight ends at all. But obviously, no O.J. Howard is huge for Brate.
And I also think that Kyle Allen is on such a big streak that I'm going to have to agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that the way that the Tennessee Titans offense runs, though, I love Jonnu Smith. I think Cameron Brate is fine because he is the preferred end zone target, but he's nowhere to be found in between from 20 to 20.
That's all Godwin and Evans.
Yeah.
Winston just loves to throw those two guys.
They can do all the heavy lifting, and then Brate scores the touchdown. That's cool.
just to tilt everyone.
So touchdown dependent. What about Josh Hill, though? That might be somebody to take a look at. I know it's too easy to be like, Cardinals tight ends, am I right? But anyways, we're going to take a quick break here, but coming up, we're going to be answering your lineup questions, plus Week 8 superheroes and villains. You're watching NFL Fantasy League One presented by GEICO, and now you will watch us happy chat as we fade to black. Time now for 15 for 15 presented by GEICO. And let's get to some fantasy questions because we're a show of the people and we're going to help you guys out with some of the questions that you have been asking. We'll start with number one, Nathan Goodchild, Sam Darnold, or Jimmy G. Marcus.
Ooh, I think I'm going to lean towards Sam Darnold this week. I know that he was bad last week, but he can't be that bad every single week. And I still think the Niners are going to be fairly run-heavy against the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers' defense is really good, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bo, we are giving you your 15 minutes of fame by answering this question. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, or Marlon Mack?
That's a tough one. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I think I'm Jacobs, too.
Yeah, that
with
feels
volume.
about the same. All right. Next question. Chase Edmonds against the Saints or Ty Johnson against the Giants?
Ooh, easy call, Edmonds.
Getting that a lot. Yeah, I'm going Edmonds, too.
Yeah,
Just
I'd go
because,
Edmonds.
again, volume. There's nobody else that they're going to play.
Exactly.
What about Ty Johnson over Tevin Coleman?
I have that call in our exact league, and I'm going with Coleman.
There you go.
I would go with Chase Edmonds. Just because there are 3 backs back there in that backfield, you don't know how much he's going to get.
All right.
Next question from Eagle, DK Metcalf or Alshon Jeffrey in a PPR, Marcus?
I think I still might go DK, man. I'm scared of testing that Buffalo secondary.
Yeah, that guy could be an Eagles fan who went to Boston College and his high school mascot was the Eagles as well. Connor Boyle wants to know Robert Woods or Chase Edmonds in a PPR league.
Robert
Edmonds.
Woods.
Ooh, I would go Edmonds.
I'm
going
gonna
to
go Robert.
Even though I do like Woods this week.
I like Woods this week a lot. Jared Goff going up against that Cincinnati defense, which has allowed so many points to receivers. I think it's going to be a big game for him.
Beard Mamba is looking for his 15 minutes of fame, I'm assuming. And
Love
with
the
Lamar
name.
Jackson on a bye, Teddy Bridgewater, Jacoby Brissett, or Gardner Minshew, I can eliminate the first one.
we can
because,
take one
of
of them
course,
out.
Drew Brees is starting today in case you are just joining us. But Jacoby Brisket
Or the man show.
or the
I
man
would
show.
go Minshew,
I think I'll Minshew.
I think
yeah.
I'd go Minshew.
I think I have. In fact, I think I have that dilemma in a league, and I think I have Minshew starting this
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
I refuse to take Minshew out of these lineups. I have to. Amy Marie wants to know Duke Johnson, Damian Williams.
Yeah. Duke Johnson. I don't love
And then
it.
vomit.
I don't
I don't
love
like.
it.
I don't like either one.
I don't love it, but
Alright.
Duke Johnson.
Can you
Amy,
pick
I love
anything
it.
else up?
Amy, I love it. And that was 15 for 15 presented by GEICO. You know what? Next week, if you want to get your 15 minutes of fame, be sure to submit a question using the hashtag 15 for 15, and we might just answer it on the show. But now it is time for our Week 8 Superheroes. Graham, go.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Robert Woods' superpowers, but we're going to see it today. Taylor just mentioned the spot for this Rams passing offense, and it really couldn't be any better. But Woods has been a regression candidate, a positive regression candidate for weeks. There are 16 receivers this year that have seen 50 or more targets, and Woods is the only one without a touchdown. Now against this Bengals team that just basically can't cover anybody, and they're going to be down their 2 top cornerbacks, Drake Kirkpatrick, is out again this week. It's just too good of a spot for Woods.
Marcus, how about you?
I'm going to go with Kenny Galladay. And I know that last week everybody sort of had a mild freak out because he only had 2 targets, and it was Marvin Jones doing all the work there. That was kind of a hiccup, right? I mean, the guy has had 8 or more targets in pretty much every other game besides that one. He's got the Giants secondary, so this week, Babytron transforms back into a superhero for your lineup.
There you go. Taylor, how about you?
I am going with DJ Chark, not because, and he's Aquaman, not because his name sounds like a fish, but because nobody saw him coming
That was
this year.
clever, though.
Yeah, see what I did there? Thank you, Justin, for that, because I don't really know fantasy superheroes, or just superheroes, but he is 7th among wide receivers this year. He's 5 receiving touchdowns this season, which is the 3rd most. And again, he's going up against a defense that has not really fared well against receivers. They've allowed at least 10 points to one receiver each week. So I think it's going to be a formidable matchup for him. It's definitely a good spot for him to be in.
So are we led to believe that you didn't read a lot of comic books during your
I really
adolescence like us? All right, I'm going to go with Michael Thomas, who I refer to as Beast Boy. Now, so many times that we see these situations with Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, Julio Jones in Atlanta, where they bring in a backup quarterback and you're like, I don't even know if I can play this guy. It doesn't matter who Michael Thomas's quarterback is. He is out there being one of the best receivers in the game. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about when you were creeping on somebody else's lineup. If I would have drafted Michael Thomas and then Chris Godwin, which would have looked weird in August, but gosh, that would have been the best combination to have.
That's seriously, that would be the best
that'd be
receiver combo you could have.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. All right, but now for every superhero, there's got to be some super villains. And Marcus, Let's start with you.
So Nick Chubb is going to be my supervillain, and I guess he's like the Kingpin because Chubb and the Kingpin is a hefty,
he's a
hefty
bigger
gentleman.
fellow.
This is a week like the Kingpin. He's going to get all of the opportunity, right? He's just going to hoard touches. He's just not going to share any profits with you fantasy managers out there because they're going against, have we mentioned, the Patriots? So that part. This is a week that you're probably starting Chubb, but you're not going to be excited about it.
Taylor?
I'm going to one-up you, not one-up you, but just kind of tag along and just say the entire Browns offense is going to be a super villain this week. You're going up against the Patriots defense, it's historic this year.
It is?
They are the top scoring defense. They've forced 18 picks. It's not going to be good. They've only allowed one passing touchdown all season. It's going to be really tough for them. I don't think that anybody is going to be able to really get much production going here.
The only good news is the Browns have had over 2 weeks to prepare for this, but still.
I think,
is Todd Monken taking over?
Oh, boy.
But anyways, what about you, Graham?
Yeah, my supervillain this week will be T.Y. Hilton. I know he's been super consistent in our lineups every single week. He's scored a bunch thanks to Jacoby Brissett being an amazing red zone quarterback. But this matchup against Chris Harris is really, really tough. Chris Harris is just playing out of his mind this year. He's allowed 40 or fewer yards in his coverage in every single game but one this year. And with a shadow matchup, I think Hilton will be able to get loose on a few plays, but it's still a tough spot.
I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley, who is my doomsday. And looking at Candace's lineup, which is very good. Obviously, we talked about Chris Godwin earlier in the show. She also has Saquon Barkley, and I just look at that and I'm like, man, that's going to be a tough one to overcome because he is so good in all facets of the game, and now he's healthy and back and ready to go, and I'm like, yep, I might have to wear. I have a lot of bravado, but I'm also a little bit nervous. By the way, I've got to ask one more time. I've got Odell Beckham Jr. Here's my all-new NFL fantasy app. I have OBJ, and I could put in D.D. Westbrook, but I'm going to stick with OBJ.
I think you have to.
He may be toast, but he's going to be like avocado toast, right? He'll be toast like a little extra something on top.
I wouldn't. I couldn't do it. The Patriots neutralize your biggest weapon, and Bill Belichick knows better than anybody that their biggest weapon today
is their guy.
Nick.
They're going to stop the run.
They will. I'm not worried.
But they like to play man coverage, and if there's one player, and there's Drew Brees, you couldn't let Teddy Bridgewater have his 15 minutes of fame, whatever. But thank you so much for joining us here. NFL Fantasy League One, presented by GEICO. Join us tomorrow right in front of the Monday night game.